everyone! Today I want to talk about why I, as a queer person, support Muslims. Because I hear from random people on the internet all the time that apparently I'm supposed to hate Muslims. Anytime I talk about anything related to Muslims, the comments or the replies sound something like this.
Muslims hate you because you're transgender and gay.
Why do you defend Muslims? They would kill you for being transgender.
How can you support a religion that hates you?
You're defending people who would use Sharia law to murder you.
Why do you support Islam? If you went to a Middle Eastern country, they'd kill you.
Try going to Saudi Arabia. They would stone you for being gay. If you're a queer person on the internet who's ever talked about Muslims, you've also probably had some of these questions come up. So here's how I would answer those people, and maybe it will help you deal with them as well. But remember that some people are just determined to hate, and nothing you say will be able to change their minds, so you gotta know when to disengage.
It's not really the matter of hating the Islamic religion, it's just pointing out that the religion is not quite exactly peaceful as most people think.
Anyway, let's start with the first accusation, that apparently Muslims hate me because I'm queer. I'm just 100% sure this is not true. I know that because I have friends and acquaintances who are Muslim who have been nothing but positive and supportive towards me. So there's really not much else to argue there.
Okay, yeah, we know. Not all Muslims hate the queers, but keep in mind, there's a good chunk of them out there that do hate queers. There's like maybe a few chunk of them that don't. See, that's what we're trying to say. The majority of the religion hates the gays.
I know that Muslims don't hate me because I have met and talked to so many Muslims who don't hate me and in fact really support me.
Again, it's probably the ones that actually have a brain and realize, killing is wrong, discrimination is wrong, but, I still think Islam is a good religion. I'm still going to give it a try.
Now, obviously, there are probably some Muslims who hate me, but there are also Christians and atheists who hate me. Plenty of them.
Regardless of their religious background, there are people out there who can't stand you because of your rhetoric whiny bullshit.
It would be pretty illogical to assume that all 1.8 billion Muslims in the world exist as a monolith. To stereotype such a massive group of people with greatly varying beliefs as all anti-queer is ridiculous.
I'm not saying that all of them are anti-queer, just a good chunk of them.
In fact, there are queer Muslims in this world. There are gay Muslims and trans Muslims. That's just a fact.
Here's another fact. A good chunk of those are already dead, thanks to the radical Islamists.
Are they all anti-queer too? I find that hard to believe. It's at this point that someone usually quotes some verse from the Quran that they think is homophobic. But you can find quotes from the Bible that sound homophobic just as easily.
You know what the difference is between the Bible and the Quran? People who read the Bible, they just read it as stories, while the Quran is basically read as like a guide or some kind of instruction manual. The people who are so hardcore into the Quran and the Islamic religion, they will treat it like an instruction manual and actually go out and do what it says. If it says to kill people who don't believe in Allah, they're going to do it. If they say kill this guy because he's gay, they're going to do it. So on and so on.
And so many atheists support these huge popular atheists who are massive homophobes and transphobes and racists. And so it seems super hypocritical for those Christians and atheists to be acting all high and mighty towards Muslims when they're often just as bad. I just think that if homophobic Quran verses mean I shouldn't support Muslims, then homophobic Bible verses mean I shouldn't support Christians, and homophobic quotes from atheist leaders mean I shouldn't support atheists. But the truth is, I know there are queer-friendly Christians and atheists and Muslims, and that someone's religion, or lack thereof, doesn't necessarily determine their attitudes towards queer people.
Because the Bible and Quran are mostly stories. They're supposed to teach you a lesson. Some people don't agree with them, some people agree with them, take your pick.
I've met super homophobic people and super supportive people from all kinds of religions. Religions are not political parties. Someone's affiliation with one only tells you what God they believe in, not what their social or political beliefs are. For as much as atheists like to rant about being rational and logical, they really love to throw all that out the window if it means they can hate on Muslims. And the funniest part about these people who say that Muslims hate me because I'm queer is that they usually say that right after calling me an anti-queer slur, or otherwise being homophobic or transphobic towards me. These Islamophobes try to position themselves as being better than Muslims because they allege that Muslims hate queer people.
Mr. Strawman, give me a break.
But it's usually pretty clear that it's the Islamophobes who hate queer people.
You are a retard. It's too much to take.
They only bring us up when it can score them superiority points. When they're not using us to put down Muslims, our rights mean nothing to them. Islamophobes feign support for queer people because they think they can turn us against Muslims. But we really shouldn't fall for that. If you are queer, I promise you that there are Muslims who would love and support you. Don't fall for the xenophobic trap of hating everyone who's different from you. They will wield that hatred against Muslims, and then they will immediately turn around and wield it against you.
You're full of shit, and everyone knows this.
And so let's talk about that other accusation, that apparently I support the religion of Islam. The truth is, I don't. I'm an atheist. Why would I support a religion? But supporting Muslims is different from supporting Islam. I think that Islamophobes like to phrase their accusations and bad faith questions this way because it turns the attention away from the people and onto the religion. That way they can say they're vilifying the religion and not the people. It's a cop-out for them to seem nicer than they are, even though it has the same effect of vilifying the people. Plus, it forces people to defend Islam rather than Muslims. It redirects the conversation away from the struggles of individuals and turns it into a conversation about the various interpretations of a massive religion. So, let me be clear, while I don't support Islam or any other religion, I 100% support Muslims. Islam is doing fine. It has 1.8 billion members and is the second biggest religion in the world. It doesn't need my support. But Muslims themselves are often heavily discriminated against, especially in places where they're the minority. A while back, Trump said he wanted to ban all Muslims from entering the US.
When your entire logic reeks of poop juice.
He did not say that, you fucking queen. It was a temporary vetting of certain countries that were known to have a high concentration of terrorist activities. If Trump did want to ban all Muslims from entering the US, how come he didn't include India or Bangladesh?
This was based on his xenophobic and misguided fear that all Muslims are terrorists. When he later found out that was unconstitutional, he reworked his Muslim ban to get around the laws, instead banning everyone from certain Muslim-majority countries. Several lower courts struck it down, but this summer the Supreme Court upheld it. Trump's Muslim ban has the effect of separating innocent Muslims from their families and denying Muslims their right to visit or immigrate to the US. It's a tragedy.
Have you forgotten that particular list was done by Obama himself? You know, your president? And guess what? Trump backpedaled on that list. He took away one country and even lowered the wait time instead of 6 months to 3 months. And you still think he's a goddamn jerk.
Across Europe, niqab and burqa bans have been going into effect, seeking to regulate what Muslim women are allowed to wear. France banned the burkini a while back, a Muslim swimsuit, and recently in Denmark, when a woman was assaulted and had her niqab torn off, the police arrived not to defend her, but to fine her for wearing a niqab. Every day I see news stories of Muslims being the victims of hate crimes in the US. I don't know how you can see all this stuff in the news and not see how Muslims are oppressed and marginalized in so many ways.
I see more crap like that outside the US than I do in the US.
I support Muslims because I aim to support all oppressed and marginalized people. When people are treated unjustly, we should defend them, regardless of whether or not we believe in the same God. I'm atheist as hell, but I would much rather side with compassionate Muslims and Christians than xenophobic atheist assholes.
Careful, Riley. One of them may turn the other cheek and then cut your cheek.
And trust me, I know what it's like to be angry at religion. I got my start on the internet in atheist communities.
Oh, next!
Now, I also want to talk about that last accusation from earlier, that allegedly if I go to a Middle Eastern country, they will kill me. First of all, most Muslims don't even live in the Middle East. In fact, the largest population of Muslims is in Indonesia. Indonesia is the country with the largest Muslim population.
See what I did there?
Who cares how many Muslims live in certain countries? You gotta look at how much terroristic activities is happening in those countries. That's what we care, not the fucking population.
But I never expected bigots to be very good at geography.
Go fuck yourself.
Regardless, there are some Muslim-majority countries that I would probably not feel safe going to because of their laws against homosexuality and other stigma against trans people and queer people in general. That's true. But there are also some countries that are majority Christian and have laws against homosexuality. I mean, the US still had some anti-sodomy laws in place until Lawrence v. Texas in 2003, and Australia just legalized same-sex marriage at the end of 2017. It's not like we're light years ahead of all these other countries. Our advancements in queer rights have come relatively recently. and there are still some conservative parts of the US that I wouldn't feel safe going to. If queer people being unsafe in a Muslim majority country means all Muslims hate queer people, then queer people being unsafe in a Christian majority town in the US should mean all Christians hate queer people. But obviously none of that is the case.
Alright, I get it!
I really think that the reason so many people hate Muslims has less to do with Islam and more to do with their skin color. Islamophobes are racists.
People who have this irrational fear that they may get attacked by someone who follows the Islamic religion, which tells people to kill other people, is racist.
They will say they're not, because Islam isn't a race, but their criticism of Islam doesn't seem to extend as harshly towards white Christians. Plus, when Islamophobes think they're attacking Muslims, sometimes they end up attacking Sikhs, which is an entirely different religion, or they attack Arab atheists. Islamophobes love to cover their hatred and make it palatable by saying it's about criticizing a religion. But if you look closely enough, it's so clearly about race. They will mock Muslim women for covering their hair while applauding white Christian nuns for doing the same thing.
If a woman's burqa falls off her head, she is immediately labeled as a whore and gets stoned to death.
White supremacists and neo-Nazis love that they can now make their hatred for people of color marketable to a larger audience by calling it criticism of a religion. Don't fall for it. These people will always be harder on Muslims of color than white Christians or white atheists, because it isn't even really about their religion. It's about their skin color.
Muslims of color. That is cute.
So yeah, that's why I'm queer and I support Muslims. I support them because I know what it's like to be marginalized and how vital it can be to have people supporting you and defending you against xenophobia.
Okay then, Riley, I have a challenge for you. There's a neighborhood called Lakemba. I dare you to go over there and just walk around the neighborhood and maybe talk to some people over there. Let's see what happens. I guarantee it's not gonna be pretty.